Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into Zen Buddhism.
Ooh, Zen Buddhism.
Yeah, it's a topic that I think has a lot of mystery around it.
Oh, tons.
So we're going to be exploring The Secret of Zen by Arden Hollingsworth,
Okay,
and specifically focusing on the first 26 chapters.
got it.
We'll be unearthing some of the key principles and the paradoxes that make Zen such a unique path. So
Yeah, it's definitely not your typical,
right, it's not just like,
self-help book.
yeah, meditation and
Yanked out.
peaceful gardens.
Right off the bat, Hollingsworth challenges this misconception that Zen is like just a philosophy.
Yeah.
He says it's about experiencing something beyond our typical ways of thinking.
And that's, I think, what makes it so intriguing.
Absolutely.
But also maybe a little intimidating for those who are, new to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like, how do you even begin to approach something that's beyond thinking,
Exactly. It's
Or
like
you'll
you
get-
almost have to unlearn everything you thought you knew
Right.
about spirituality or personal growth.
Yeah, he actually uses this really cool analogy in the book. He compares it to like a radio.
Oh,
So
interesting.
we can't see radio waves, right?
Right.
But we experience their effect as music.
Yeah.
And he's saying Zen's kind of similar.
Yeah.
It's like it aims to reveal this force that's always present, shaping our lives,
Hmm.
but we might not be able to grasp it with our like limited human minds.
Wow. Okay. I'm already feeling like my mind is bending a little bit here.
It's mind-bending stuff for sure.
So if it's not about like accumulating knowledge or, mastering certain techniques, then
Then what is it
I
about?
don't know, what is it about?
Well, this is where Hollingsworth brings in this idea of intuition.
Intuition.
He actually says that cultivating spiritual intuition is more important than like even seated meditation.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, it kind of throws you for a loop, right?
It does.
But he clarifies that he's not talking about just, gut feelings or hunches.
Yeah.
It's like a deeper, more direct kind of knowing.
It's like you just know.
You just know. Yeah.
But how do you even explain that?
That's the tricky part. It's beyond words, really.
He has this one quote in the book, and it really stuck with me. It said, "The unique operation of intuition begins from the inside of you as you work on trying to uncover and learn Zen's secret. It ends when you find Zen's secret within you, an indescribable transcendent presence."
It's like we already have this wisdom within us,
Yeah.
but we've kind of forgotten how to tap into it.
And Zen is like the path to rediscover that.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that, but it sounds like a real challenge
Oh, it is.
because our minds are like constantly buzzing.
Yeah, it's like a monkey mind, right?
Yeah, with distractions and thoughts and worries.
All the time.
So how do we even begin to cultivate this kind of, stillness and receptivity?
Well, Hollingsworth talks about this idea of a beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind.
Yeah, and it's not about being naive or like,
Right, it's ignorant.
ignorant. It's
Yeah.
about approaching Zen with like an open and curious mind.
Free from all those preconceived notions.
Exactly.
Easier said than done, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It takes a lot of effort to really let go of all our, baggage and just be present.
And he actually compares this process to the rigorous training that happens in like traditional Zen monasteries.
Yeah, he even kind of worries about how Zen is sometimes adapted to fit like modern values.
I see. Sure.
Because he thinks that might dilute its real power.
So maybe we need to like strip away some of those modern interpretations
Yeah.
to get to the core of like the raw, unfiltered version of Zen.
I think that's a really good point.
Okay.
So I think that's where going back to the roots of Zen, to Buddhism, and the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, becomes really important.
Right, the Buddha. The one who left his life of luxury to like seek truth.
Exactly.
What does it even mean to be awakened in the context of Zen?
Well, Hollingsworth describes it as this state of realizing our true nature. Something that's always been there, but it's hidden by all of our, conditioning.
Not all the stuff we've picked up along the way.
Out of the baggage? Yeah.
So it's like we're all walking around in a state of like spiritual amnesia.
In a way, yeah.
That's kind of a mind-blowing thought.
It is.
So how do we even begin to like break free from this limited way of seeing things?
Well, we have to understand this concept of samsara.
Samsara.
It's the endless cycle of birth and death that Buddhism and Zen are trying to liberate us from.
Okay.
Hollingsworth describes it as this invisible cage.
An invisible cage.
Yeah, and the bars of this cage are made of all of our thoughts and perceptions.
So to escape, we need to somehow break free from the limitations of our own minds.
That's the challenge, right? And that's where Zen comes in with all of its unique methods and practices.
Okay, now I'm really curious to hear about these methods.
Well, one of the most interesting ones is this thing called a kosan.
Kosan?
You might have heard of them. They're like these paradoxical riddles or statements.
Oh, yeah, like, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Exactly. That's a classic one.
I always thought they were just like brain teasers or something.
They seem like that on the surface, right? But Hollingsworth describes them as like bait for the intellect.
Bait.
Yeah, it's like they lure the rational mind into this forest of thought.
Okay.
Where it eventually just gets exhausted and gives up.
So it's like tricking the mind into surrendering.
In a way, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty clever.
And to really illustrate this point, he tells the story of a student who took like 49 attempts to finally understand a particular koan.
49 attempts.
Yeah, and there's another story of an elderly monk who took 97.
Oh my gosh, that's commitment.
Right. It shows you the kind of dedication and perseverance that's sometimes needed in Zen practice.
So far, we've been talking about the conceptual foundations of Zen.
Yeah, the big
The
idea.
importance of intuition, escaping our conditioned thinking, and these fascinating koans. But I'm curious to see how these principles actually play out in practice.
And that's exactly where Hollingsworth takes us in the next part of the book.
Oh, good.
He starts sharing his own personal journey with Zen, all the struggles and breakthroughs.
I love that. Getting to see how these abstract concepts translate into real-life experiences.
Yeah, it gets really personal and insightful.
So what were some of the key moments in his journey that really stood out to you?
Well, he talks about being kicked out of a Zen temple.
Kicked out.
Yeah.
It's a wild story.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued now.
And then there's this whole thing about going on these solitary retreats
Oh, wow.
and battling with what he calls wild black lines of thought.
Wild black lines. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a really vivid image. We'll have to dive into that more in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait. Did he ever have that, sudden awakening that Zen talks about?
He did. And it happened in a way that I never would have expected. You might think meditating in a cave or something.
Yeah.
Or studying ancient texts.
Right. But no.
What was it?
It was while reading a comic book.
A comic book.
Yeah, a comic book.
Seriously. That's wild.
It just goes to show you those aha moments can happen in the most unexpected places.
I guess that's kind of the point, right? You can't really force it.
Exactly. It's not about following some rigid formula.
Yeah.
It's more about cultivating this openness and receptivity that allows those insights to just emerge naturally.
So it's less about what you do and more about the state of being you're in.
Yeah, and Hollingsworth describes this incredible shift in his perception after this experience.
What did it feel like?
Well, he says everything just took on this new depth and clarity. Like he was finally seeing the essence of things.
Like he broke free from that invisible cage.
Exactly.
Wow, that's powerful.
And this is something he emphasizes throughout the book.
Okay.
The difference between intellectual understanding and true insight.
Okay.
He spent years studying Zen, reading all the texts, pondering those koans, even living in a Zen temple.
Right.
But it wasn't until he had this direct experience that everything really clicked for him.
So it's not enough to just know about it. No, you have to actually experience it.
Exactly.
I mean, that makes sense, but it also makes me wonder, if it took him all that time and effort, is there even hope for the rest of us?
Well, he talks about that too.
Okay, good.
He says it's about faith and perseverance and letting go of our attachment to outcomes.
Okay.
It's not about trying to force enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about surrendering to the process.
And trusting that it will unfold in its own time.
Exactly.
He also mentions this thing called self-admonishment.
Yeah, that one caught my eye too.
What is that exactly? It sounds kind of harsh.
He's not talking about beating yourself up or anything.
Okay, good.
It's more gently reminding yourself of your commitment to the path. Having an inner coach, that voice that nudges you back on track.
Yeah, like a gentle reminder of what really matters. I think we could all use a little bit of that.
Oh, for sure.
So what else did he do to cultivate this deeper awareness?
Well, he talks a lot about the value of solitude.
Solitude.
Retreating from all the noise and distractions of the world.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we're all kind of craving these days.
Right. We're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation.
It's hard to just be still and quiet.
And that's exactly what Zen invites us to do.
To just be.
To connect with that inner stillness, that pure mind that's always there beneath the surface.
Okay, I love that image, but I'm still struggling with how we even begin to talk about something like pure mind.
Yeah, it's tricky.
If it's beyond language and thought, how do we even grasp it?
Right, and Hollingsworth acknowledges that.
Okay, good.
He talks about how Zen masters often use language in a very specific way, like, with paradox and poetry.
To try to point to something that's beyond words.
Exactly.
It's almost like they're speaking a different language altogether.
It is a different language.
One that speaks directly to our intuition.
And bypasses the intellect.
I can see how that would be frustrating for, like, the rational mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it requires us to let go of our need for certainty and control.
And embrace the unknown.
That's a tough one.
It is.
But it sounds like it can also be incredibly rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. Hollingsworth doesn't shy away from sharing the ups and downs of his journey.
Like what?
Well, he talks about the challenges of living in a Zen monastery.
Yeah, I bet.
Those moments of doubt and frustration.
Oh, yeah.
But also the unexpected graces that kept him going.
There's that balance again.
Right, of effort and surrender.
The story about him being kicked out of the Zen temple really stood out to me.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Like, he was devastated at first, but it ended up being this turning point.
Right, his mom actually encouraged him to go back.
And he did.
He did, and it was like he went back with this renewed sense of purpose.
I guess sometimes we need those, like, shake-ups to really wake us up.
Yeah, sometimes getting kicked out is the best thing that can happen to you.
That's a good reminder that, like, the path isn't always easy.
Definitely not.
There will be setbacks. There will be challenges.
But it's our commitment to keep showing up that matters.
That's a good takeaway for any path, really.
Absolutely.
He also talks about the importance of, like, having a good teacher.
Oh, yeah, a mentor, a guide.
Someone who can help you navigate all the twists and turns.
To remind you of your true north when you get lost.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Did he have anyone like that?
He did. He had several mentors who played a really important role in his journey.
I think that's so crucial, especially when you're dealing with something as, challenging as Zen.
It's like having that trusted friend who can offer wisdom and encouragement.
And sometimes a little tough love.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And he also talks about the value of community.
Community.
Yeah, like connecting with others who are on a similar path.
Oh, that makes sense.
Finding that sense of belonging and support.
Yeah, especially when you're grappling with something as, like, mind-bending as Zen.
Right. It's a reminder that you're not alone on this journey.
And that it's not just about you as an individual.
It's about connecting to something much larger, something universal.
I love that.
And I think that leads us to one of the most fascinating aspects of Hollingsworth's journey, his emphasis on direct experience.
Direct experience.
Yeah, he's constantly reminding us that Zen isn't just an intellectual pursuit.
It's about directly apprehending reality.
Right, a knowing that goes beyond words and concepts.
He uses this analogy of a radio.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Trying to understand how a radio works by just, like, analyzing the sound waves.
Right.
He says it's like trying to understand Zen by just reading about it.
You can study the frequencies and wavelengths all you want, but you'll never truly get it until you actually open up the radio and see how it works.
You have to see the inner workings.
Exactly.
Of, like, trying to understand the ocean by studying waves. You can learn a lot about waves, but to really grasp the immensity of the ocean, you have to dive in.
That's a perfect analogy.
So Zen is about diving into the depths of our own being.
Experiencing the reality that lies beyond the surface of our perceptions.
It's a beautiful idea.
It is.
But it also feels kind of daunting.
Oh, yeah, it's a radical invitation.
To let go of everything we think we know and trust in this direct experience.
But it's an invitation that can lead to profound insights and truly transformative experiences.
It sounds like a journey that requires a lot of courage.
It does.
A willingness to embrace the unknown.
And Hollingsworth is very honest about that.
Okay, good.
He talks about the dedication and discipline required.
Yeah.
The importance of confronting our own limitations.
I'm sure there are plenty of those.
And even the possibility of, like, encountering frustration and disillusionment along the way.
So it's not all blissful meditation and sudden enlightenment.
No, definitely not. It's a path that requires grit and resilience.
But it sounds like it also offers some incredible rewards.
It does. He talks about this deep sense of peace and clarity and freedom.
Freedom from what?
Freedom from the limitations of our own minds, really.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
It is.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What happens next in Hollingsworth's journey?
Well, that's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore the later chapters of the book where he delves even deeper into his personal experiences and the insights he's gained along the way.
I'm ready for it. All right, so we're back and ready to hear more about Hollingsworth's journey.
Yeah, he's had those glimpses of pure mind, right?
Right, but it seems like there's still more to uncover.
Yeah, definitely. There's this part where he talks about feeling like a dunce compared to the wisdom of the Zen masters.
I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you can read all the books, study all the teachings,
Right.
but still feel so far from truly grasping the essence of it.
Like you have the intellectual understanding,
Yeah,
but it hasn't quite clicked on like a deeper level.
exactly. And he was still, like, grappling with those wild black lines of thought,
Oh, yeah.
recognizing them as these obstacles to seeing clearly.
Can you remind us what those are again?
Yeah, it's like this mental chaos, right? The constant stream of thoughts and worries
Okay, right.
that can cloud our perception and keep us from experiencing reality as it truly is.
Yeah, it's like that mental clutter that we all deal with.
Exactly. And there's this one part where he's pondering if pure mind could be found in, like, everyday objects.
Everyday objects.
Yeah, like an axe, cigarette, even a well.
That's interesting.
It's like he's trying to grasp something beyond the conceptual,
Yeah.
using the very tools that, like, keep us stuck in the conceptual.
Right. It's like trying to describe the taste of chocolate to someone who's never had it before.
Exactly. Words just can't quite capture it, right?
Right. So what was his big realization?
Well, he eventually realizes that the path to Zen isn't about adding more thoughts or concepts. It's actually about stripping those layers away.
So it's a process of subtraction, not addition.
Exactly. He calls it deconditioning.
And it's not just limited to formal meditation, is it?
No, not at all. He talks about applying this principle to, like, everyday activities.
Like what?
Walking, chopping wood, even making tea.
Right. Finding enlightenment in those everyday moments.
It's about bringing a mindful awareness to every moment.
I think there's a Zen saying about that, right?
Yeah, chop wood, carry water.
It's about finding that that stillness in the midst of activity.
Exactly. And he makes it clear that it's not about forcing the mind to be quiet.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that the stillness is already there.
Beneath the surface of all those thoughts.
Right, beneath the surface.
So it's like a process of uncovering, not creating.
I think that's a great way to put it.
So did Hollingsworth, like, achieve some kind of permanent state of enlightenment?
Well, it wasn't like a single dramatic event,
Okay.
more like a gradual deepening of understanding, a refining of his practice.
So it's an ongoing process.
Definitely. He talks about the importance of studying the teachings, reflecting on koans, and engaging in those mindful activities we were discussing.
Right. So it's a combination of things.
Yeah, but he also emphasizes the crucial role of intuition.
That direct knowing.
Exactly. Learning to trust that inner wisdom.
So it's a balance of effort and surrender.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And one of the most fascinating things he shares is this idea that our thoughts aren't just random.
Yeah.
They actually arise from a deeper source,
Like where?
from pure mind, which is beyond thought itself.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It is, and he even suggests that the very act of thinking can, like, obscure pure mind.
So our thoughts can actually create a barrier between us and our true nature.
In a way, yeah.
It's like trying to see your reflection in muddy water.
Oh, I love that analogy.
The mud distorts the image.
Right.
And Hollingsworth eventually comes to this realization.
Right.
The key to unlocking Zen's secret is to go beyond thought itself.
To experience the source from which thought arises.
So it's not about eliminating thoughts, but about seeing them for what they are.
These temporary expressions of a deeper reality.
And this leads him to ask one of the most profound questions in the book.
What's that?
He says, what is thought all of your thoughts composed from?
Whoa, that's a real mind bender.
Right. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about thinking.
And it's an invitation to explore, not through intellectual analysis, but through direct experience.
So how do we do that?
By cultivating a deep awareness of our thoughts,
Okay.
noticing their patterns, their arising and passing away.
Like becoming an observer of our own minds.
Exactly. And that's where the real shift happens.
What kind of shift?
We start to see that our thoughts aren't who we are. They're just phenomena arising and dissolving within the vastness of pure mind.
It's a pretty liberating realization, isn't it?
It is. To know that you're not your thoughts, that there's something much greater within you.
This deep dive into the secret of Zen has been incredible.
It has.
We've covered so much ground. from the importance of intuition to the challenges of escaping conditioned thinking.
And the transformative power of those Zen insights.
But for me, the biggest takeaway is its emphasis on direct experience.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Trusting our own inner knowing.
Hollingsworth shows us that Zen isn't just a philosophy to debate.
Right.
It's a reality to be experienced.
It's about taking that leap and diving into the depths of our own being.
And discovering the truth that's always been there.
Well said. And as we wrap up, I keep coming back to that question. What is thought all of your thoughts composed from?
It's a question that stays with you.
It is. It's an invitation to keep exploring, to delve deeper into the mysteries of our own minds.
Because within those mysteries lies the potential for awakening and transformation.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep.